Good evening, everybody. Suzanne Dibble here, data protection law expert, coming to you raw and uncut on a Friday evening. And for that reason, it's going to be a short video because I've just watched a very daft Adam Sandler film, had a glass of wine, and I'm ready for my bed. But as I've committed to do a video a day, I am not going to let the day go out without having done a video for you. So I was thinking back to some of the questions that we've had in the group. And one of the ones that I said I would answer that I haven't yet is about automated decision making. And somebody was asking whether if the tagging and then making automated decisions through something like Infusionsoft would count as automated decision making for the purposes of GDPR. So I'm going to answer that question now. Now, looking at the regulation on automated decision making, and if I'm glancing up a bit, it's because I've got some of my text on the screen so that I can read the exact definitions to you. And just to give you the backdrop to this, GDPR recognises the tension between the benefits of certain automated decision making and profiling, things like that, in increasing efficiencies and resource savings for businesses, as against the real risks that automated decision making and profiling pose to the rights and freedoms of individuals, where you're stereotyping and doing what's called black box decision making. So again, it's that balance of the interests of businesses on one hand with protecting the fundamental rights of individuals on the other. So automated decision making, what does GDPR say about that? Well, solely automated decision making, under GDPR, individuals have the right not to be subject to a decision based solely on automated processing. And here's the key bit: if the decision produces legal effects or similarly significantly affects the individual. Okay, so it's not all automated decision making, it's decision making that produces legal effects or similarly significantly affects the individual. Now you might say, what are legal effects? And the guidance on this, let me just get this bit of my note. Okay, so legal effects, this is the guidance from the Working Party. Legal effects are those that have an impact on an individual's legal rights, such as statutory or contractual rights. For example, an individual being refused entry at a border, being denied a social benefit granted at law, or having their mobile phone terminated for failure to pay the bill. So as you can hear from that, that's pretty significant things, isn't it? It's not whether you're going to go into funnel A or funnel B in your marketing campaign. You know, things, real fundamental rights like being refused entry at a border, not having a social benefit granted to them, or having their mobile phone terminated. Pretty serious things. The next bit of that, if you remember, I said that it's either legal effects or similarly significantly affects the individuals, and the guidance on what similarly significant effects means are those that are equivalent or similarly significant to legal effects. The effect must be more than trivial and must have the potential to significantly influence the circumstances, behaviour or choices of the individuals concerned. And again, the Working Party gives examples which could include automatic refusal of an online credit application, or e-recruiting practices without human intervention. So where somebody is applying for a job and there's automated decision making involved in that. It says much depends on the context, and it's difficult to provide a fixed list of what might be considered significant. So again, as with so many things in GDPR, it's not black and white. But the key thing there, obviously, is it's got to be pretty serious, hasn't it? We're not in the realms of tagging and automated funnels. Now, there is actually in the in the Working Party guidance, there was the question raised as to whether targeted advertising could be a significant automated decision for the purposes of GDPR. And the Working Party did actually note that typical cases of targeted advertising would not have a significant effect on individuals. Okay, so that's good. Basically saying targeted advertising typically will not have a significant effect on individuals and therefore would not be caught in these rules about automated decision making for the purposes of GDPR. However, it's never that simple, is it? However, the Working Party did recognise that in certain contexts, targeted advertising could lead to a legal or significant effect. And they, in the Working Party guidance, they considered what might be the relevant things to consider in making that assessment. And they said that you would need to look at the intrusiveness of the profiling process, the expectations and wishes of the individual, the way that the advert is delivered, and in particular, vulnerabilities of the individuals targeted. They also did helpfully give examples of online advertising that could be significant for the purposes of automated decision making. And the examples they gave were differential pricing, preventing an individual obtaining certain goods, or an individual with financial difficulties being targeted for gambling sites. Okay, so the first one there is differential pricing, preventing an individual obtaining certain goods or services. And the other one is an individual with financial difficulties being regularly targeted with adverts for gambling sites. Okay, they're two examples of how targeted advertising could be a significant automated decision that would bring you into the realms of the rules on automated decision making. Okay, so I think that is, I'm going to keep this really brief. Let me just think if there's anything else that I need to tell you about that. I suppose, I mean, in the event that any of you are in that area of significant effects due to automated decision making, then there are, you have to take steps as you're doing that. So, for example, if you rely on, say, the conditions for contract performance and consent for the automated decision as a ground for doing that, then you've got to implement suitable measures to safeguard the individual. And as a minimum, that must be a right to obtain a human review of the decision. And that review must be carried out by someone with appropriate authority and capability to change the decision. You've got to find simple ways to tell the individual about the rationale behind or the criteria relied on to reach the decision. And that information has got to be meaningful to the individual, but this may not necessarily involve including complex explanations of algorithms. You've got to carry out regular testing on the data sets that you process to check for any bias, and measures should be taken to prevent errors, inaccuracies or discrimination on the basis of special categories of data. Audits of algorithms are also advised. Okay, so if you think that you are in the realms of automated decision making that's going to have a significant effect or a legal effect on an individual, then I think all I want to do on this video is just to flag that for you. And hopefully for those of you who were asking the questions around it in terms of your marketing funnel, to put your mind at rest, that you are not likely to be within the realms of the GDPR rules on automated decision making. So that is all I'm going to say about that for now. If you think that you are somehow within the realms of automated decision making, then post on this video and I can direct you to further resources that will help you work out what I mentioned a little bit of it there, but I can give you certainly more detail on that. Okay, that's it. I hope you're all having a far more exciting Friday night than I am, watching my dodgy Adam Sandler movie. I hope you're all I was going to say painting the town red, but actually it's snowing everywhere pretty much, isn't it? So hopefully you're all in front of a nice warm fire, snuggled up with a bottle of wine or something. Anyway, happy Friday to you all. I hope that was helpful for those of you that asked the question, and I will be doing another little video tomorrow.